The quest for knowledge, expansion of conservatism, and clear reasoning lives here. We are locked and loaded with truth and common sense for informed, rational patriots. Welcome to the Wildcat Patch. The best half hour of my week starts right now. I'm your host, Chuck P. Welcome to the show. All right. Well, a couple weeks ago, I was talking with a couple friends back home in Pennsylvania, and one of the fellas said, "When are you going to get your own radio show?" And it's not the first time he said it. I never really thought about it, not trained in it, never prepared for it. But I figured, I've got a voice, I've got a brain, I might as well use it. So, this is my attempt at it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I didn't lose anything, right? So I need to thank Dave for giving me the nudge. You'll notice that I've titled the name of this episode, which is episode number 1. I've titled it Introduction, and I figured I'd lay out the groundwork for what the show's about and what we're going to try to accomplish with it, a little background history on myself, and we'll just try to tie it all together, try to make sense out of everything that's going on, this crazy, nutty world that we live in. Not that our politicians give a rat's furry behind what we think about them, but, I figure somebody's got to hold them accountable. Might as well be us. Why not? We're the ones that make the money. We're the ones that pay the taxes, make the world go around, pay for everybody's welfare. So we should have a voice too. We're out here working all the time and never get to see our families. Very little downtime. And we keep seeing more and more of it go by the wayside as we watch the world around us turn upside down. We don't know what end is up anymore, and we got to do something about it. I don't know what. Just put our heads together here and see if we can't try to come up with a solution of some sort. Okay, so as promised, here are the basics of the show. They come from my desire for truth and accuracy in the news, not some fantastical headline that's meant to deceive me or get me to feel a certain way by tugging at my emotions, but rather the honest truth without any spin or sugarcoating on it. So number 1, I'll be covering current politics, occasionally a current social media event that does not include Kim Kardashian's butt, and you can assume that you'll be hearing a heavy dose of I don't trust the government or politicians of either party. I'm an equal opportunity skeptic, and it's been proven time and time again that when we put our faith and trust in any politician, face it, we get screwed over in the end anyway. No matter the political party affiliation, their only concern is for the size of their bankroll, their connections, and retaining power to dictate to we the moronic mass of little people that according to them don't have either the ability or intelligence to tend to our own affairs. We obviously need them to regulate every aspect of our daily lives, to protect us from ourselves. We're just too stupid to realize all they do to save us. Now, I'm a simple crude oil hauler in the progressive bastion that is Houston, a city of 5 million that is being run into the ground by leftists and sycophants, which will surely be its demise one day, just as has happened with LA, Chicago, Detroit, and New York City. New York City! That's right, New York City. So, since some of what I hear as I'm perched behind the wheel for 15 hours a day, slogging through the morass of humanity on 8-lane beltways, is not satisfying my personal and individual quest for knowledge, I've started doing some of my own research and compiling data for myself, for medicinal purposes. What the? Paul, stop it. Not those kind of medicinal purposes. All right. Put it out. As it turns out, much of what I hear is only half or sometimes a third of the story. And along with that, much of the opinion presented on air is less than adequate for any meaningful debate purpose, because somewhere along the line, my argument would eventually break down because of the lack of information. I would run out of answers because the host I was listening to or the story they were telling didn't give the complete picture of what was actually going on. So I hope to correct that through researching the topic I'll be discussing before I bring it to you. Number 2. Some of what I'll be discussing can get a bit deep in the weeds, because the source material I'll be getting my information from comes from the 18th and 19th century documents, our founding fathers, those evil white guys, written by men far smarter and intelligent than I, but that's where the truth is, so that's where I go. The more we get together, the more you'll see that I am quite the proponent of states' rights over federal authority. In any event, I hope that what I have to say makes sense and you perhaps pick up a few tidbits of information you didn't previously have before in your knowledge bank. And if all else fails, at least we'll have a good time learning together. I absolutely do not know everything, but I'll promise to do my best to vet any information before I bring it here. I designated a Facebook page under the show title name and have established a Twitter account under the show title name as well. So y'all will be able to comment on the show through those two outlets, and I'll be posting the show on the YouTube channel in numbered sequence so they're easy to find. Right now, since this is so new and financially directed by my wallet, I've decided to do a half-hour show once a weekend. If time permits and if there is need to go longer on a topic, I will make adjustments accordingly. But in an effort to retain an audience, I don't want to get too long and boring. That would defeat the purpose now, wouldn't it? On the personal history side, I am just a small-town dad, a backwoods hayseed hick from the sticks of northeast Pennsylvania with 6 kids and grandkids. I cut my teeth in the oil patch in the Marcellus gas fields in the northern tier region, formed many, many friendships and alliances there. Thank you, fellows, for taking me in. And in 2013, I decided that it was time for me to move on to someplace more freedom-loving and fiscally secure. Well, for my own longevity and health of mind, so I moved to a suburb of Houston on the Gulf of Mexico. It's actually right on the water. I'm a simple man with simple ways that, quite frankly, just wants to be left alone and unmolested by what I refer to as Mordor on the Potomac, and that is Washington, D.C. The region of Pennsylvania that I lived in was at one time what was considered the coal belt, and the map was dotted with coal breakers, manufacturing facilities, factories, mom and pop shops, and life was relatively quiet. Most of its residents relied mainly on themselves, their grit and determination, plus hard work to eke out a quiet yet happy existence. But with decades of progressive nuance pushing its way into everything from the environment to education, most of those blue-collar jobs went the way of the dodo bird. Now what's left are hollowed-out shells of beaten-down individuals that are largely reliant on the multitude of state and federal programs for their daily existence. That was not for me. So I bailed out to a state with a booming economy, and now my goal is to help this area remain that way, and to push my local legislators to exert their sovereign state authority over a central and national governing authority. I'm sorry to say that Pennsylvania let itself get sucked into the vacuum that is Washington largesse, and has now gone bankrupt at the state capitol level in Harrisburg because they are burdened with what once federal government funded programs for which the funding is now expired, so the state is saddled with continuing those programs out of state coffers. The first fact of the show is this: Pennsylvanians, you can thank Ed Rendell for handing off a hamstrung state budget to Tom Corbett, who just 2 weeks ago lost to another leftist in Governor-elect Wolf. So expect more of the same federal bailouts and ballooning deficits to self-perpetuate for at least the next decade. Couple that with the estimated additional 130,000 illegal immigrants that Obama is forcibly dumping on you in traditional Republican districts, and taxes there will most certainly rise, and the jobless rate will continue to remain high, placing an even greater burden on the few that are actually earning a decent living, like the fine gentleman working the patch up in Pennsylvania. Well, I didn't mean to end the introduction episode on a low note like that, but the truth is what the truth is, and that's what I'm here for. So I've pretty much covered what the show's going to be about, the goals, the direction, the history of me, if it really matters. And it's shortened. This is a shortened episode, obviously, because it's just the introduction. I'll be doing much more next week. I'll be doing it once a week. And I thank you all for tuning in. Till next time, God bless. Keep those wheels down. Keep them turning. Keep the patch rolling.